Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where we explore the hidden aspects of narcissism and the journey of healing from the wounds it causes. Today, we will confront a sensitive and painful issue that many of us have experienced or are currently experiencing: living with narcissistic parents. Your childhood, instead of being a time filled with love and safety, became a battle for survival within your own home. You had to learn to walk on a tightrope, always careful not to trigger your parents' anger. You learned to stay silent, to suppress your emotions, dreams, and even your true self. You became a passive actor, constantly playing the roles your parents expected: obedient, well-behaved, or even perfect. And so, your childhood passed in a whirl of negative emotions: guilt, fear, sadness, anxiety, interspersed with rare moments of happiness when you were lucky enough to please your narcissistic parents. Have you ever wondered if the source of your insecurities, low self-esteem, and difficulties in relationships might stem from your own family environment? Could it be that your parents, the ones you love the most, have unintentionally used subtle manipulation tactics to control and hurt you? I'm not here to remind you of past wounds, as we cannot change what has happened or choose our parents. My goal is to help you understand how those experiences are affecting your current relationships and life. I want to guide you in gaining a clearer understanding of your mental health and support you on your path to healing. In this video, we will lift the veil on the secrets and explore the characteristic signs of covertly narcissistic parents. They often hide under the guise of love, but inadvertently create psychological storms that profoundly impact their children's development. At the same time, we will also share methods to help you protect yourself, heal from past wounds, and seek happiness for yourself. Let's begin this journey of liberating yourself from the invisible chains of manipulation from your own parents. If these insights resonate with you and you find them helpful, please support us by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support is the motivation for us to continue creating valuable content and spreading knowledge about mental health to the community. Narcissistic parents can take two paths as you grow older. They may become completely indifferent to you, as they have found other sources of emotional supply or are preoccupied with their own pleasures. Or they may continue to interfere in your life, crossing all boundaries, making you feel guilty or distressed simply for wanting to pursue your own dreams, or even just to escape their control. In worse cases, you may have experienced severe boundary violations that led to lasting psychological damage, such as post-traumatic stress disorder. However, most people who have suffered abuse from narcissistic parents don't immediately recognize it, as their manipulation is often very subtle. Perhaps when you look back, you realize that your childhood was always vague, filled with anxiety and a sense of insecurity. You may have wished that your parents had paid more attention to you, cared about your feelings and your true self, instead of focusing solely on satisfying their own needs. You feel anger when you realize that, all along, everything revolved around your parents. They were the center, and you were merely a shadow in your own story. You may have witnessed acts of betrayal from your parents' lies, shady dealings with money, or even infidelity in their marriage. But maybe you never thought of those things as abuse. We often think that abuse only exists when there is physical violence, visible bruises. But the truth is, it's not just about intensity, it's about the duration. When you are invalidated every day, when your emotions are never acknowledged throughout your childhood, that alone is enough to cause deep emotional wounds. Narcissistic parents often use you as a tool to regulate their emotions. They share personal problems with you, expecting you to listen and empathize, then become angry when you don't respond as they want. And you, even as a child, may have borne the brunt of painful words and outbursts of anger that never should have been yours to endure. A friend once told me that when he was around 7 years old, he had just participated in a school sports competition and felt quite disappointed because he didn't perform as well as he had hoped. When he got home, his narcissistic mother had cooked an elaborate dinner and expected her son to compliment her on the meal. But because he was still upset about the day's failure, he ate quietly without saying much. His mother immediately got angry, accusing him of being ungrateful and not appreciating her efforts. Parents like this can easily lash out when they don't receive the admiration they expect from their children, or they might turn your special day into a miserable one just because their emotional needs weren't satisfied. These children endure disappointment and pressure from their narcissistic parents, who always seek to use their children as a tool to soothe their negative emotions. This is truly a profound form of emotional abuse. So, how can you tell if you were or are being raised by narcissistic parents? Before we begin, I want you to know that you're not alone this healing journey. If you're experiencing similar struggles, leave a comment with a 1 under this video. Every number 1 is a word of encouragement, a source of strength for us to overcome the darkness of the past together and move toward a brighter future. Sign 1. Your parents have a favorite child, and it's not you. Have you ever felt like an outsider in your own family? Maybe you've always tried your best to do everything right, but no matter what you do, you are constantly criticized and blamed. Meanwhile, there is another child in the family, perhaps your sibling, who can do no wrong in your parents' eyes. They are pampered, praised, and their mistakes are never their fault. If you find yourself always being seen as the black sheep, blamed for every family issue, even when you've done nothing wrong, it's possible that your parents are narcissists. Narcissistic parents often create a clear distinction between their children, always having a golden child whom they favor and consider perfect. Meanwhile, you are neglected, viewed as the source of all problems. You feel like you're never good enough, never deserving of love, and can never please them. This can leave you living in a constant state of loneliness, low self-esteem, and self-doubt. Consider the case of Lady Gaga, who once shared that she felt like the black sheep in her family. She was always seen as different and not accepted like her siblings. The feeling of being left out and unloved had a profound impact on her life and mental well-being, until she found strength in music to break free from the family pressures. If you feel like you're trapped in this situation, know that the feelings of inadequacy and isolation you're experiencing are not your fault. You do not deserve to be treated that way, and no amount of effort on your part can change how narcissistic parents see you. Sign 2. You are always doubtful and insecure about yourself. Growing up in the absence of unconditional love, your heart carries wounds that are hard to heal. You may become an adult who constantly lives in self-doubt, always wondering if you are worthy of love. The criticisms from your parents still echo in your mind, and no matter how hard you try, the feeling that you're never good enough haunts you. This can lead to turbulent relationships where you easily accept unfair treatment because deep down you believe that's what you deserve. You may have heard phrases like, "Your parents sacrificed everything for you," or "You have to try harder so you don't disappoint your parents." But it's heartbreaking to realize that those words aren't expressions of genuine love, but tools for control, forcing you to live the way they want. In that case, every step you take is not for yourself, but to fulfill your parents' needs and ambitions. But you know what? True love is never about control. It doesn't come with conditions or demand that you be worthy. Real love is about acceptance, joy in seeing you grow and live authentically, regardless of what you achieve. It's painful to realize that perhaps throughout your life, your parents never loved you in that way. But it's not your fault. You don't have to spend your life seeking validation from people who never knew how to love you properly. The most important thing is that you deserve love, not because of what you achieve, but because of who you are just as you are. It's time to let go of the burdens you were never meant to carry and learn to love yourself, to build relationships based on respect and real love, where you can be yourself and not have to please anyone to receive love. Sign 3. Manipulation disguised as false affection. Have your parents ever said things like, "Don't leave me or I can't live without you"? These words, which sound full of love and attachment, actually carry an invisible burden, a subtle form of control. Narcissistic parents often use phrases like this to keep you in an unhealthy dependency, making you feel guilty for wanting to build a life of your own. They create the sense that if you leave, they will be hurt, they will suffer, and it will be your fault. These words are not love, but bondage, a way to make you feel responsible for their happiness while neglecting your own. You begin to feel guilty for dreaming of freedom, for wanting an independent life, because deep down, you're always worried about your parents. Gradually, you get trapped in a complex web of emotions, not knowing how to choose between living for yourself and pleasing your parents. But you deserve to have your own life. You are not responsible for carrying the burden of your parents' happiness, and true love doesn't come with such conditions. True love is when parents want you to be free, to live your life and dreams, not when they hold you in the grip of control out of fear of losing their emotional supply. Remember, you have the right to step out into the world and build your own life without feeling guilty. You are not responsible for the happiness of others. This life is yours, and you deserve true happiness, a happiness that comes from freedom and independence, not from the controlling and fearful bonds of manipulation. Sign 4. You struggle to set boundaries. Have you ever felt difficulty in saying no or setting personal boundaries with others? If you were raised by a narcissist, this is completely understandable. Growing up in that environment, you may have never learned how to define and protect yourself as an independent individual. Narcissistic parents often see their children as extensions of themselves, not as separate individuals. They manipulate your emotions and behavior, making you feel guilty for setting boundaries. You may have become accustomed to ignoring your own needs to please others, always fearing that if you don't meet their expectations, you will be criticized or cast aside. This leads to difficulty in identifying what is a safe boundary for yourself, and you may feel like you have to always be available for others' demands. But the truth is, setting personal boundaries isn't selfish, it's how you protect your mental health and maintain your self-esteem. You have the right to say no. You have the right to protect your time, energy, and emotions. Learning to set boundaries can be a major step in recovering from a childhood that lacked respect for personal boundaries, and it's a way to reclaim control over your life. I estimate that over 90% of people who grew up in families with narcissistic parents carry a lifelong feeling of "I'm not good enough." Even narcissists themselves have this thought, but the difference is that they are unaware of it. While normal people recognize this insecurity and try to compensate by working harder, narcissists cannot admit their weakness. Instead of facing their insecurity, they respond to the world with anger and a constant need for validation. They are always seeking confirmation that they are the best, the greatest, and they crave admiration from others, especially through social media. If you've realized that your parents are narcissistic, and you still need to see them during holidays, or for them to meet their grandchildren, you might wonder how to maintain this relationship without letting it negatively affect you. To do this, you need to prepare yourself mentally and have a clear strategy. The first step is to observe and identify your parents' repetitive behaviors over time. These behaviors are often very consistent, as if they are as predictable as the sunrise. Once you understand their behavioral patterns, you'll be able to set realistic expectations and manage your emotions accordingly. I have a piece of advice for you. Prepare yourself mentally before meeting your parents, as if you're getting ready for an important interview. Remember to stand firm with your boundaries, avoid engaging in arguments, and don't try to explain or defend yourself. Most importantly, if you don't want to play their game, don't try to change them. They won't change, and the best thing you can do is protect yourself from harm, without expecting to alter their behavior. Finally, many people don't want to completely cut ties with their parents, perhaps because they still care for their siblings, or because their children truly love their grandparents. This is completely understandable, but that doesn't mean you have to dive deep into sensitive conversations or try to resolve issues that occurred 20 years ago. You have the right to set boundaries, maintain emotional distance, and focus on the present rather than trying to change the past, which is beyond your control. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. If you think this content could help others on their healing journey, share it with friends and family. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel to stay updated on upcoming content and access the second part of this discussion. Thank you for being part of our community. I'll see you in the next videos. I hope you find the strength and clarity to embrace a true and happy life. By the way, I'll respond to all the comments, so if you have any questions or want to suggest an idea for the next video, leave them in the comments. I truly appreciate you. Let's keep learning together and improving our lives.